Yo, what's up YouTube? Crash Wilcox here, Crash Wilcox Computers. Just bringing you guys kind of a different sort of video. This time I'm going to walk you guys through how I put a computer together, how I go through the building and the buying, not the building process, but the buying process. So, got a request from a friend of mine, a friend from church, that he's trying to build his kid a gaming computer for Christmas. So he asked me for my help. I was happy to oblige. So the budget for the build, $600. So that's a little restrictive. So I thought that would be a perfect opportunity, for that kind of a budget to walk through how I go about building, this PC, what I look for. So, and honestly, if you guys, get into the PC building world, the budget PC build is actually, I think, funner than, the high budget premium, machines, because you really got to do your homework. You really got to dig around, find deals, and, jump around to different websites. I've talked about this in other videos. When you got $3,000 for a build or whatever, just go and buy the best parts and put them in there. If you want smart GB, throw it in there, that's fine. But when it comes to something like a $600 computer, you really got to think through the parts that you're going to use, why you're going to use them, if you can cut corners, where you can cut corners. So the person we're building this for is a 12-year-old boy. So like all 12-year-old boys, he wants to play Fortnite. That's kind of his wheelhouse. So that's kind of what I'm going off of when it comes to putting this computer together. So we're gonna sort of walk through the websites that I use and kind of my process for putting this thing together. So jumping in here, we're gonna take a look at the computer and kind of how I go about actually putting this thing together. So the first site I like to go to is PC Part Picker. Now there might be other websites that you can go to help you custom build a computer, but I think PC Part Picker is pretty intuitive, pretty easy to use. So jumping in here, the first thing you want to do is come over to the System Builder. And when you're in here, you're just going to kind of see this layout, and this is going to give you a template to go off of to basically pick every piece that your computer needs, and then just some extra equipment if you want to, optical drives, an operating system, whatever it happens to be. But we're not going to use all of that stuff right now. And then also up here, it has this compatibility banner, which is pretty nice. If you do wind up putting some pieces together or components that don't fit, it's going to turn red and it's going to tell you that there's an issue. And then you'll just scroll down here to the compatibility notes and it'll tell you what the issue is. So that's a pretty nice feature here. So the first thing is we're going to jump into the CPU, the backbone of any computer build. So we're going to jump in here. And then since we are sticking with that strict $600 budget, in my opinion, that kind of cuts Intel out of the picture. So we're going to just stick with AMD. So you just click on that and narrow your search to AMD. And then looking through here, all these CPUs is going to give you a nice little breakdown of what they are. And then also your pricing over here. So I've already put this PC together. And now I'm just kind of walking you guys through how I put it together. So for this build, we are going to go with the Ryzen 5 2600. It's a 6-core, 12-thread CPU, and right now it's going for $119, which is just a really good deal. So you can click on this, it'll open it up, and it'll kind of give you pricing from some of the, major places where you might buy it from. And then what's nice too is you can come down here and it'll give you basically a breakdown of the pricing over time for this. So you can see, this is about as low as it's ever been. So you're getting a pretty good value. Now granted, it's a little bit older of a CPU, but 6 cores, 12 threads is still perfectly fine. And like I said, we're putting this together for a 12-year-old boy who likes to play, esports, the free-to-play titles. So that's going to be more than enough. Even for AAA games, that's going to be more than enough cores and threads for the next, year, 2 years. Maybe at that point it might start to be getting a little worn out. But this is going to be pretty nice. And then you can keep scrolling. You can actually see some reviews that people gave about the card or about the CPU. And then just different little build guides that they went with down there. So that's a nice touch. But this is going to make a nice addition or a nice starting point for our PC build. So there you go. You click add, and there it is right there. We're not going to be using a CPU cooler. This does come with a nice stock air cooler. I do, however, have a Wraith Prism cooler that I'm going to be using instead of the stock cooler for this. So we don't need a CPU cooler there. Then we're going to jump into the motherboard and do this just the same way. So Ryzen 5 2600, you know, you can kind of go with a nice, I think, budget board here. You don't really have to go with anything high-end. We don't need a 570. So we're going to be looking at the B450 range or the X470 range of motherboard. And what's nice about PC Part Picker is once you start picking parts out, this will automatically start narrowing your search down to stuff that's at least somewhat compatible. So because we have an AMD CPU, it's only going to give us motherboards that are AM4 compatible. So you won't see any Intel motherboards, anything like that. So coming in here, you can start, again, just scrolling through here, looking at it, paying close attention to that price, because that's one of the biggest factors we have going for us here with this strict build. And again, I already know what I want, so we're going to go in here and narrow it down to gigabyte. And for this build, we went with the Gigabyte B450 Aorus M. It's a micro ATX board, going right now for $85, which is a really good deal. With this board, what's nice, you got an M.2 slot down here with a heat sink included. Pretty nice. 4 DIMM slots, nice VRMs. Gigabyte just makes good products all around as far as I'm concerned. And then just a lot of USB, a lot of connectivity in the back. HDMI, we're not going to be using off the motherboard, but it's just nice. Gigabyte Ethernet, just a pretty good board for a budget build. So we're going to go ahead and add that in there. So far, no issues with the compatibility. All right, and then we're coming in here to the RAM. So I don't think that you really need to, go lower than 16 gigabytes. That's sort of the, I think, the new minimum specs when it comes to building a PC. And the prices are good enough now that you can build a budget PC and stay in that 16 gigabyte range. I mean, you're looking here, $65 for 3200 megahertz, 16 gigs. That's just, there's no reason to really go lower than that. But like I said, he does want RGB. He wants the lights, so that's going to be sort of the struggle that we're looking for in here. And there is some, good products in here. What we decided to go with, though, I just kind of for my own learning process, I wanted to go with the product I've never used before. So we decided to go with, I don't even know how to pronounce this, the Geel, whatever. The Super Loose, this one right here, 16 gigs, 3000 megahertz RAM, $57. So that's what we're going to go with. I've read, again, just going through some of this, I've seen quite a few builds that go with this brand of RAM. So it's a little out of the mainstream, but the only way to know if it really works and is worth your money is to actually give it a try. So that's what we're going to be doing here. So 16 gigs of RAM, then jumping into the storage. Again, I think even with a budget build like this, now obviously if you start getting a lot lower than $600, if you're into the $400 or $500 range, this might change. But I don't think in a $600 build you need to go so low as a mechanical hard drive. I don't think that's necessary. So we are going to be going with an SSD here. And since we are trying to stay in that budget range, we are just going to be going with one hard drive. And this is the deal that I'm going with right here, the Samsung 860 EVO. It's a 500 gig SSD going right now for $59. So I think that's a pretty good deal. And 500 gigabytes, like I said, for a 12-year-old, it's going to store a couple of games, maybe a couple of programs. But largely he's going to be using this to, like I said, play some free-to-play esport type titles and, probably watching YouTube. So 500 gigs is good. You can build off that later if you need to, but that's going to be a good place to start for us. 500 gigs Samsung SSD. Video card I'll get to in just a minute. So then we're going to go down here for case. And like I said, one of the things that he really wants is some RGB. You know, they like it when it's flashy and bright. So that's a big consideration. Now in here, it's nice too. You can come down and you can kind of change the type of case that you're looking for, which is cool if you want like a big full tower, which is a nice touch down here if you want to go for specific colors. But again, we already know what we're looking for. But if I didn't, you would just kind of scroll through here again, looking at that price, making sure that it fits in your budget. And then also, you know, I think price would probably be the most important thing right here. And then the look. So we're going to go down and we are going to click on the Rosewell. And I've mentioned this before, but I think it bears mentioning again. I believe Rosewell started out as Newegg's house brand, and I think they may have since then branched off into the, you know, more of their own company. But I think you can still consider them to be Newegg's house brand. That's a good way to look at it. So came down here, and the one that we're going with is the Rosewell Cullinan MX. It doesn't have necessarily like, you know, addressable RGB, but these are RGB remote controlled fans. So it does come with a remote control. Let's see if there's a picture in here for that. No. But it does have a remote control that you can change these lights with. So I think this is going to light up like a Christmas tree. It should be, should make him happy. Should like the way this looks. And it's, I think, an otherwise nice looking case. Nice mid-tower case, got a lot of mounting for your SSDs, got some, you know, racks down here for your 3.5-inch hard drives if you need to. It's got the like RGB lighting controller on the back, and then just a lot of tie-down points, so hopefully this cable management won't be too outrageous. And then I think if you can see here, it also has vertical mounting brackets, which is pretty nice. I don't think we're going to be vertically mounting his GPU, but it does have that option there. So just a nice case overall, and we'll dig into this a little bit when I start going through the actual full build. Because like I said, this is just a template that I use. This isn't 100% certainty. This is just a more, it's like an outline when you're writing a paper. This is kind of what I'm using as my outline. And then power supply. So again, you can use this compatibility filter, and this is going to kind of tell you how much wattage you should be planning for. So granted, 149 watts right now, that's without a graphics card, but we'll get into the graphics card here in a minute. So just scrolling down through here, I do want him to have the ability to upgrade slightly if he wants to. So we're going to go with a semi-modular. Fully modular is just going to be a little bit pricier. So we're going to save a little bit of money going with the semi-modular. He can still upgrade some of the cords if you, or some of the cables if he wants to. And then it'll just kind of help with the cable management, you know, just a little bit as well. So going down here and looking for that price again, $59.99 for a 500 watt EVGA 80 plus bronze. I like it. That's what we're going to go with. All right, and then lastly, the video card. So like I talked about, free-to-play esports games. He plays on a 1080p monitor. Like I said, he's a young kid, so he doesn't need anything too outlandish. So what I decided to do is I'm going to go with an RX 580. And the way I'm going to save a little bit extra money is I'm going used on this. I'm going to go on eBay and find a used RX 580. And I'm going to link in the description YouTube videos from Tech Deals, where he does a $580 basically used RX 580 build and kind of runs through some of the benchmarks. And then he also, I'm going to link another video for a RX 580 4K gaming video that he does as well. So you can kind of see that this is a still, even in 2019, a respectable graphics card. If you're playing 1080p, it's going to handle all those esports, free-to-play titles, and then even AAA titles it's going to handle well. So this is going to be a really good addition to that Ryzen 5 2600. And The one that we are going to go with, like I said, I've already put this together, is going to be the Power Color Red Dragon. So again, this doesn't have a price right here, but we're going to use it in the build. And what that's going to do to help us is kind of make sure that we're staying that estimated wattage, 334 watts. We're getting a 500 watt power supply, so that should be more than enough power to satisfy this build. So this is the template we have right here. And once we have this template built, I'm going to go into the wild internet and start trying to find these products and see if there's any additional deals that I can get to cut this price down. So first, like I talked about, I already know I'm going to be looking for, well, we'll get into eBay next, but go to Newegg. You know, really the ones that you're going to be going with: Newegg, Amazon. So Newegg here, what I like to do starting out, I go into the outlet store. And I don't know that I got anything from here, but it's always good to give it a quick look over. Go to the refurbished items, clearance center, open box. If you feel comfortable getting that stuff. I've bought open box from Newegg plenty of times. So you can come in here and, you know, maybe find some nice deals on some stuff. But otherwise, we're going to just go through here and just start walking through, looking for those CPUs. So we know we're going to go with the Ryzen 5. And then there's the one that we want, $119. Comes with Xbox Game Pass, which would be cool if he wants to get down on some Game Pass. He'll have that opportunity for that. And then the next one, like I said, you're just going to keep going through memory. And I'm not going to walk through all of these, but the one I do want to walk through is right here for the, where is it? Computer cases. Actually, I'll just type it in here. The Roseville Cullinan, that's what we decided to go with. And one of the main reasons why I went with this is I found a nice open box deal for it. So knocks $13 off the price, brings us down to $76.99. And again, like I said, all that RGB should make him happy. This might show the picture of the remote in here. No, of course not. Anywho, it has a remote. So yeah, see, fans with a remote controller. So he'll be able to change that stuff if he wants to. So that's the way we would do it. And again, like I said, you would just kind of walk through here, you know, and just dig around and see if you can't find anything that's got some deals. And then next, I like to go to Amazon, and then I just do the same thing. You know, and I look for each component. So I'll kind of make a build both in Amazon and in Newegg, and then I just start picking between, you know, who's got the better value between the two sites. So like I said, $119, same price here. 2600X is a pretty good deal too, but again, I don't know that $30 is justified for esports, free-to-play type gaming. I don't know that it's worth it. So, and then that strict $600 budget. And then the last one we're going to go through is eBay. So we already know that we want the RX 580. At least that's in my mind, that's what I wanted. So that's kind of what I decided to do. And I just like to come in here, get the price. You know, I try to go lowest to most expensive. And since it's very close to Christmas now, I need to just get it here. So I'll buy it now. And if I can get some free shipping, that's pretty cool too. So I like to click on that. And then just going through here, you know, and I've talked about this before, a graphics card is a graphics card is a graphics card. Frame rates and stuff like that aren't going to change drastically between, you know, an XFX or a Sapphire. Really, you're just going to be talking about thermals, noise, that sort of stuff that's going to make the difference. So the one that we decided to go with was the, like I talked about, the Power Color Red Dragon, $135. And then I'm just going to show you guys. So into the shopping cart here, there it is, the Power Color Red Dragon, $141. We wound up getting our motherboard and our Samsung SSD on Amazon. And then we got our case, RAM, CPU, and our power supply all on Newegg, and got that free Xbox Game Pass. So we're going to go ahead and get these ordered, and then I just wanted to show you guys what the whole total price came out to be. You can see here, so these are all of our parts, and then with the tax that it was included, so we got it in just a hair under $600, $599.94. Unfortunately, we always got to pay the man $40 in taxes, which is fine. Brought us to $640 total, but $599, I think, you know, excluding taxes, that's a pretty good bill for a pretty reasonable price. So there you have it. Let me know in the comments below if you guys, you know, have any input or advice on how this could have come together a little bit better, or, you know, just anything that's useful going forward. If I'm putting more of these PCs together, I'd appreciate it. And then once I get the parts here, we'll go through, like always, the build guide and kind of show you guys the final product, give you some benchmarks. But there you have it. See you guys when we get ready for the build. Peace.